Hello, and welcome to this video on creating line graphs. As with many data visualizations, there are plenty of software options available to create these in, but today we're going to be using Microsoft Excel. Before we go making one, however, let's have a look at these simplified sketches. On the right, the graph has dots for the points and a line connecting them, and on the left, the dots aren't there, but they are there really as just the points of the angles on the line. Line graphs are used to show values over a time period. So the values are usually on the y-axis, and the intervals of time are usually on the x-axis. So say sales over time. The time would be on the x-axis, and the number of sales, or the dollar amount, would be over on the vertical axis. Okay, let's head over to Microsoft Excel now and make an example. Okay, so we are in Microsoft Excel now, and we're ready to make our line graph. We've got some data here for Bigfoot sightings or Sasquatch sightings in the state of Nebraska, and then we're going to be doing one for Nebraska and Kansas on the same graph, so we can see what that looks like when we have two lines. Okay, to start with, we're going to highlight both columns, the year and the sightings. We'll go up to the Insert tab, and then over in Charts, there's a button here for line graphs. We're going to click on that, and this is what the result was, and that's not exactly what we had in mind. What we wanted was down on the x-axis to have the years, and then on the y-axis to have the number of sightings. So this really is not what we want, but let's move it over into the corner here, and we will fix it up. Let's make it a little bit bigger here too. So this happens in Excel sometimes. Don't get discouraged when you're making graphs and things like that in here. You just sometimes have to go in and edit it. So we're going to see how to do that. If we click on this filter button and we go to select data, then we get this handy little box that really helps when you're making graphs in Excel because it lets you choose what goes where. So what we're going to do is actually delete these two series, remove them, remove this other one, and we're going to choose one to add. So the series name is the sightings, and the series value, remove this, and we will choose the counts for the sightings. Click OK. And the horizontal axis is where we want the years, and that's not what we have right here. We just have some integers. So we're going to click on Edit. Access label range are these ones right here in column A. Okay, so those are highlighted. We'll click OK, and we'll click OK again to close this box. And that looks a lot better. That's kind of what we had in mind. We've got the years down at the bottom, and we've got the number of sightings over on the side on the vertical axis. Okay, so even though that's a dramatic improvement from what we had, this shows what we want. We've got some weird stuff going on over on the side here. Got some half numbers on the units here, and this is for Sasquatch or Bigfoot sightings, and it doesn't really make sense to have these as halves. It's just going to be whole numbers. So let's fix that. We've gone ahead and clicked on it already. If we double click, then we'll get a menu over at the side to format it, and we've got the access options, units. The major units is set to half. We'll change it to 1 and press tab to update that. Okay, one last thing that we're going to do before we go to make the graph that has Kansas and Nebraska both is to remove this sightings. Since we only have one series right now, we don't need that. We'll need it in the next graph, but not in this one, so we can just click on it and delete. Oh, actually, let's change the title as well so that we know that this is the Nebraska sightings. So NE. Okay, so we're on the next tab now, and in addition to the Nebraska data, we have the Kansas data as well. And I've also already gone ahead and duplicated the chart that we just made on the other tabs. We've already got that for the Nebraska sightings, but I did not delete the legend here so that we still know that blue means Nebraska sightings. So we're going to add Kansas as another series. So we're going to go back to this chart filters button and select data down at the bottom of that box. Now, if you recall when we did the Nebraska sightings, then we put that over here in the legend entries, and we're just going to click add to add another one. The series name, that's for the column header, so Kansas sightings, and series value are the counts for that. Okay, and then click OK, and click OK again. Okay, just a quick note before we go any further. In case you're curious about the Bigfoot sightings, the website I got that from is right up here at the top, by the way. But for Kansas, there was an entry from 1886, but that would give us a lot of dead space on our chart, so I left that off because otherwise our chart would go on and on backwards here before 1957 and have one data point and then a bunch of empty space. So for the sake of this graph, we're just leaving it off. Okay, and as happens sometimes with graphs, now that we've got two different data sets on here in particular, everything's a little squished, so I'm going to actually expand it out a little bit so that we can see it a little bit better, but we do not have the access titles on here like we had before. So we'll go ahead and add those back in. We'll click on the plus button to add chart elements and check the box for access titles. And again, down at the bottom, we'll just double click and put in the year. And over on the side, double click on that, Okay, and we also don't have a title, so we'll add that in too. That's under the chart elements plus button also, and chart title, and we'll call it Bigfoot sightings. Okay, and if we wanted to customize the colors or the chart style or anything like that to make the appearance a little bit different, you could do that up at the top under change colors or the chart styles. We'll go with this dark one here. Okay, and there's our line graph. Now we just have 2 states on here. We could of course expand it and add other states. But once you have a lot of lines on here, it can get really kind of busy and confusing. So you do want to be careful to not put too many different series on there. But there is our chart for us. All right, so now that we have the style on here, I just noticed that it again gave us the little half increments on the vertical axis. So let's double click and change that so that it's just whole numbers. Then it will open up at the side, and under access options here, there's a thing for units, and the major units is set to half. We'll just do 1, and that looks better. So now our graph is finished. Alright, so that wraps up this video. We've covered the basics on making a line graph in Microsoft Excel. The version of Excel you're using might mean that some of the features I showed are in different places or aren't available, or you might have other features that you didn't see on my screen. Hopefully though, things should be about the same. Please reach out to the library if you have questions, and thanks for watching.